Hello, everybody. This is Deborah Flate from Dialogue Consulting, and this is part one of your 21-day JumpStart program to skyrocket your sales, and this one is going to be on intentional selling. So a little bit, for those that don't know me, about my journey, who I haven't had the pleasure of meeting yet. I've had 30 years of experience in the industry, and 5 of those as a practicing interior designer, and then the rest of the time in sales and sales management. So my very first job was at Dongia as an outside salesperson, and then I became a regional sales director for Jacqueline or Larson. And Tui Pranich was my last job in the Merchandise Mart here in Chicago, and I was a regional sales director at Pranich. And Larson and Pranich, I'm really, really proud to say I was able to turn them around. They were both not profitable for many, many years. And through sales and growing our sales, I was able to turn both of those showrooms around into profitability. So I'm very proud of that. And then in September of 2001, I started Dialogue Consulting, my own company, and I still have it 16 years later. And so through my company, I became a national sales manager for Rodolph Textiles as well as Colleen Leathers. And so the reason that I tell you that, and you could see on those slides very briefly, is I've worked in this industry a long time. I've had a lot of experience. I've had ups and downs, and I decided that I was going to start this program because I wanted people to get the experience that I've had without the mistakes so that you can get more sales faster. So I culled them into a system from all of my experience, and that's why I show you those slides, because I now have increased sales for many companies. I've trained hundreds of sales reps, and I have a lot of documented results. So this is the mini 21-day course, and we're going to focus today on 3 of the 7 core principles that I do in my full e-course, or in my full e-training. So the first one is sell with intention. The second one we're going to talk about is change your focus. And the third is be your solution. So the way this is going to work is every 7 days you're going to get one more module of this, and they'll build on each other. And also you get a lot of bonuses. I'm going to send you a lot of reports I've done. So you're really going to get a great amount of information from this. So in this lesson, we're going to learn why we have to change our approach to meet the current market and the way people buy. We're going to talk about how selling with intention allows you to close more sales, how we can start to close a sale with the correct approach on the very first meeting or appointment, and why we should focus the results focus on the results that the client wants. So 2008 really turned everything upside down. It really caused tectonic changes in every industry, but certainly the interior design industry. So it really caused the game to change forever. We used to be the only game in town. When we were selling products, there was less on the market, and now that just isn't true anymore. Now clients are much more knowledgeable, much more savvy. Clients have almost unlimited choices now. They do their research before they even step into a showroom. They also have an idea of where they want their budget to be because they have so much information on the Internet, they know exactly where they want their budget to be. There's also more products and more companies vying for the same sale. And I say seriously because there is so much product out there that you can't even begin to know how much product is out there. And they're all vying for that same sale. So product then becomes a commodity, and many times if people don't see value, and we're going to talk about that a lot in this session, it'll just boil down to price. That's what it'll boil down to. So traditional methods of focusing on product just no longer work. And really, traditional methods of focusing on product were, in my view, really built on a house of cards, and I think we can see that today considering all the interior product companies that are having a very rough time getting back to what they were doing pre-2009. So it was really built on a house of cards, and I think it gave us a really big false sense of security when we were the only game in town and there were fewer choices and less information. It also left our results to chance. It really did. So we have to now evolve from these traditional decades-old techniques. Those were old ways, and now we have to change our approach to meet those new buying patterns. So the 7 core principles that I built my entire course on are: sell with intention, which is what we're going to talk about today. Change your focus. Pull, don't push. Be the solution. Give clients what they need first. Follow up with purpose. And make time count. These are meant to be core values of your new approach to selling. So we really have to refocus from product to solutions. And I don't mean that there's a method of selling out there that's called solution-based selling, and mine is a little different because we really talk more about the results client want and then providing those solutions. But it's also about getting to their needs. So we have to focus on the solution to make the client's job easier, and that's the mindset. We're going to talk about mindset too, dig into that a little, but the mindset I want you to go into this whole system with, is we're trying to make the client's job easier. We're trying to make it effortless for them because that's what your value, that's the value you bring to them. And we're going to focus on clients' needs and the results they want. That doesn't mean you forget about your product. You don't, because it's an important part of meeting your clients' needs, but only after you are totally sure of what the client's needs are. So we're going to talk about selling with intention. So the definition of it, just the definition from the dictionary, is something that is done on purpose or deliberate. So that's what I want you to think about a little, is that we need to do things more purposely and more deliberate. Because selling with intention really puts you in the driver's seat. Think about this. When you're in the driver's seat, somebody's in the passenger seat, and they're telling you where to go, what turns to make, where to go, what to do, don't go here. You know, sometimes they're called backseat driver. Well, when we sell with intention, we're in the driver's seat, and we're not taking any direction from the passenger. We're directing, we're guiding. That's what we're doing as salespeople. So selling with intention, it automatically slows your thinking down to allow you to think more clearly and plan. You are much more proactive than reactive. I think in the past we have shown the typical sales cycle is we show somebody product thinking we know what their needs are, then we have to follow up, then there's a lot of reactive stuff that comes at us, the emails, the calls, the double quoting, the redoing, the re-choosing, the reselecting. All of that is reactive because we're reacting to what the client wants. And what does that do also? Takes us out of the driver's seat. When we sell with intention, we're much more proactive. And it allows you to get off that hamster wheel of just doing things without a sound strategy. So many times we get in during the day at 5 o'clock or 8 o'clock or whenever your day ends, we look at ourselves and say, what did we do today? I'm not even sure. So we need to have a strategy and we need to know exactly what we're going to be doing. It also stops wasting time. We waste a lot of time in sales. Again, going back to the following up, the quotations, the re-quoting, the reselecting, all of that, all the emails, all the questions. That is so reactive and it wastes so much time. By slowing down, you avoid any confusion of what is best to do for that sale. And it keeps you from overwhelm. It gives you time to come up with a solid strategy for your sales presentation. So you slow down, you slow your mind down, you plan out how you're going to sell clients from now on, so it gives you time to really think. And intentional selling really turns the process that we used to do on its head. So we used to think about all the product that we have and how we're going to fit that into a client's space or into a client's job or whatever it is. And now we're going to think about getting from them what they need. So it really turns the process on its head. It also results in going from inconsistent to consistent results, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, dig into that. So it gives you time to plan, it gives you time to think and manage and maximize your efforts. Selling with intention allows you to focus on the few consistent clients instead of the insignificant many, or what some of us call tire kickers. And those are those who are ready to buy now. We find that out in our process, in our selling process. So here's one strategy selling with intention allows you to do well and increase sales in less time. And guess what that is? It's finding business. Because as salespeople, that's our job. And whether we're a designer that's working in kitchen and bath, or whether we're a salesperson out on the road selling any kind of product, it doesn't matter. Our job as salespeople is to find business. So many salespeople still think busy provides business. So here's some of those old beliefs. Create as many follow-up calls and emails as possible. Give out as many quotes as I can. Surely some will turn into sales. Approach as many clients as I can, hoping they will buy. This is a really good one. Assume, as a salesperson, I know the answers before asking the right questions. Many salespeople do that, including I used to do that. Work really hard at convincing the client that this is the best solution. I truly believe that convincing is not, you will never be able to convince anybody. If you don't know what their needs are, our job is to really lead down a path, not convince them. When you're convincing something, you're pushing. When you're leading them down a path because of where they want to go and knowing where they want to go, you're pulling. That's one of my 7 principles. And tell them anything about product before fully understanding their needs. So selling with intentions knows these are phooey-bahooey. They're old beliefs, they're not true, and they're certainly not useful. And using old techniques, continuing to use these, if we continue to keep an autopilot without intention, these are outdated and useless. And this is actually the real result. And I have seen multiple salespeople that have felt like this. And these are usually typical sales cycles. Again, I have seen sales reports where the sales are up and down and up and down and up and down. I call it teeter-totter sales. Or even worse, that you're just not sure. That's even worse. So your role needs to meet current times and changing marketplace. Salespeople are no longer sources of product knowledge or pricing. That is not what a salesperson is anymore, both of which are readily available online. That's why people come to you in a different place when they're coming to buy something, because they already know all of this. Salespeople enter the sales cycle only to find their prospects much further along in the buying cycle. So it used to be that clients didn't have any information. There was no internet. The only thing they had maybe was a newspaper or some kind of supplement from the newspaper where they saw this pricing on whatever product they're wanting to buy. But now that was it. Now there is endless endless information that's available. So they're already coming to the sales cycle in a different place than they were before. We need to meet them where they are. So sales are your responsibility, and so is your income. So how do we meet the client's needs with intention? We ask. It's as simple as that. We ask. You want to put yourself into a curious state when you're dealing with the client. Intentional selling uses diagnostic measures to uncover needs. That's how you increase sales. I always say salespeople should be doctors and not drug pushers, and that means that doctors, you don't walk into a doctor's office and you have a problem with your knee and he or she just wheels out a cart of pills and tells you to choose. They're all really pretty. Choose whatever you want. I think one should work. I'm not sure. And then drug pushers are, of course, just the opposite. They just want to give you anything. So our job is not to be pill pushers. It's to be a doctor. That's how you increase sales. And then you provide the solution. So selling with intention focuses on needs and results. To be a highly effective salesperson, that is to sell to the client's needs, you first have to understand what those needs are. This means you must think in terms of solving a client's problems. And the only way, I repeat, the only way to do that is by asking lots of questions. That is the key of intentional selling. That's the meat of it, as they say. It's to ask lots of questions, being very intentional about your questions and having a strategy behind them. Asking good questions is the foundation for good sales results. There is nothing else in the world that can end up with better sales results than if you ask a lot of really great questions. So asking good questions will not only help you determine what will best suit the prospect's needs, but it builds confidence, trust, and will very often help the prospect consider issues they may never have even thought of. So by you asking the right questions, they may never have even thought, oh, yes, I need this, or I need this. I never thought of that. I know in my sales experience when I've done this, people always say, I never even thought of that. That's a great solution, and I never thought of that. That's wonderful. So you may that's not the right word. You may usher them into thinking something they didn't even know. And this is powerful because it provides an opportunity to showcase features which the prospect's answers led you to. So you ask questions and then you can showcase how that will provide the result the client wants, the prospect, the client, the customer, whatever you call them. This will also make you valuable and set you apart from the competition and take the focus off of product. Now you become valuable. And people always buy from people they know, like, and trust. Always. When you think about it in your own life, I know in my life, when I think about where I go to buy certain things, I will always go and I will pay more if I know whoever that salesperson is, whether it's a car, a house, a shirt, whatever it is, I will always go to people I know, like, and trust. That's why some of these really big food companies like Trader Joe's and Whole Foods are so popular because people trust them. They know them, they like them, they trust them. Starbucks is another one. They know, like, and trust Starbucks. They don't go there for the coffee. They go there because they know, like, and trust what they're going to get there. That's why they go. They go for the experience. They do not go for the coffee. And they will pay more. And those examples I just gave you of Whole Foods, of Starbucks, you will pay more because you know, like, and trust that company, that salesperson, that whoever it is that you encounter in those places. So the best technique is open-ended questions. I know you have probably heard open-ended questions before, the term open-ended questions, and that's great, but you also need to use them. So open-ended questions, as we know, cannot be answered with a yes or no. Those are close-ended questions. So are you happy? Yes. Are you full? You just ate dinner? Yes. Is the sky blue? Yes or no. So those are closed-ended questions. Open-ended are ones that start a conversation. They can't be answered with a yes or no. This is the only way to uncover needs. And need plus the right solution equals sales. So there's 3 types of open-ended questions. There's establishing rapport, which most people are very comfortable with the first one. In this sequence, what happens is you start out very light, then you get a little bit deeper, and then you get a little bit deeper with qualifying. And so people usually end up stopping at the very top of information gathering. But in order to really find out what the needs are, you got to go to all 3 of these places. So you always want to ask with intention to get enough information for the sales. So you want to have a strategy. These are not just asking questions. That's why you need to sell with intention, because it slows you down enough to think about how you're going to approach clients. Whether you're with them now or whether you're with them, later, it's going to be able to slow you down enough. So establishing rapport or small talk, as I said, most people are pretty good at this, at making small talk. If you're not good at making small talk, I'm not sure that you'd want to be in sales, because people in sales have to make small talk all the time. So here's some examples. What brings you in today? I love that question. Instead of may I help you, that makes me crazy. What brings you in today is wonderful. Is this your first visit? Are you just starting out on this project? And then you go to information gathering, which is the second level, a little deeper. Tell me what your impression is that you have of our lines. And this is a great question, because a lot of people will come in and say, oh, I think you're really expensive, or oh, you have limited choice, or whatever it is, whatever perception they come in with. If you ask them and the perception might be wrong, that's your time to say, that's true. We are, we do have expensive things. We also have a lot of other product. Let's talk about your needs, and we can put the perfect product into your place or into your house or wherever it is. What do you think of our designs? They may say, oh, I think of them usually as traditional, and we're not really looking for traditional, so we thought we'd just come in and see what you have. And that, again, is your chance to reframe the line. Always agreeing first. Don't ever say that's not true. You don't want to say that to a client. You want to say that's true. However, blah, blah, blah. We have other variances of lines. How do you see this fitting into your current project? Is this the first kitchen you've ever done, or whatever room it is? If not, how did that turn out for you? If this isn't your first project, is there anything you would do differently? Because you want to find out what didn't work, too, so you can avoid that. Can you see how important that question is? What is your desired outcome? That's talking about the results, which is what you want to get to. How long do you plan to use this, whatever it is, this room, this kitchen, this whatever it is? And then qualifying goes in even deeper, because here you're starting to qualify and really get to the heart of what these people want. So it's really important to go to this next step. So why did you decide to see us today? What led you to look at our company? What improvements would you like to see? Where do you expect to see the biggest benefit? What challenges are you looking to solve with this solution? Will anyone else besides yourself be involved in making the decision? That is a more important question than you can imagine, because a lot of times when people are doing big projects, they do have other people. They may have other relatives, they may have friends, whatever, and everyone's reasoning for buying are different. So you want to try as hard as you can to bring everybody in once you get to the need and have that solution. Everybody's there, because you don't want them leaving and then going and asking other people who have different opinions on what they should be doing. So you want to try to get everybody in on the decision. How soon do you need this to have a solution in place? Tell me about your budget. Where do you need this to come in on? I have to tell you, this is probably the most avoided question in sales. People don't want to ask about the budget, but it is so important. I will always also tell you, as many salespeople, designers, whoever I'm talking to about sales, have said, people tell me they don't know. Let me tell you, that's not true. When people come in, they do have an idea. It's just that they don't want to give you that information because they're afraid if they do, you might have had a cheaper solution for them or a less expensive solution. So they don't want to show their cards, as they say. They have an idea. And I always suggest what you say is, I understand if there's so much variance out there, but I just want to make sure that I don't show you something that may not fit into your budget. So if you can give me a variance of where you are, so let's talk about a sweet spot. So is it between 10 and 15,000? Is it less than that? Just give me an idea so that I can get you exactly what you need. See how that works? And then, of course, there's many, many more. Those are just suggestions of some qualifying open-ended questions. And you really want to go into it with a genuine curiosity. You know, anytime the questioning stops or you ask a question and they stop talking, you can just look at them and say, you know what, please tell me more about that. That's one of my favorite sayings to use when I'm questioning people. Wow, that's really interesting. Tell me more. And I see interviewers using it all the time. It's a really, really, really good technique. So as a salesperson, it's your job to find out exactly what is on the client's mind, why they're choosing your product, what their needs are, what their lifestyle is. Sometimes that's left off of the questioning. You want to know what their lifestyle is, how you can provide those solutions, when do they need it to be finished, who is going to be involved in the decision. And don't be afraid to ask questions. You know, being afraid, and this is from science, this isn't from, selling, but that kind of mindset is actually, it's real, and it's actually based on the old fight or flight thinking. And that thinking no longer serves us. So if you look at it differently, if you have a mind shift and look at it from being of service to that client, making sure this is a big decision for them and you're part of it, which is really wonderful. So you want to make sure they're getting what they want. Just like if you go out and buy something, you want that same treatment. So don't be afraid to ask these questions, because what you're doing is you're uncovering exactly what the client wants, and that's how you want to be perceived as a salesperson. Because to sell with intention is to make the client's job easier. And the benefit for you is you get more sales. There is no value until you understand what's valuable to the client. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is by asking these questions. So the pieces of selling with intention are, it slows the process down, it makes you more valuable, it saves you time, it helps the client in a more effective way, always has a strategy, no more autopilot. It gives you much less busy work, so it saves you a lot of time. You know, salespeople ask me all the time, they say they have a horrible time with time management, and it must be a thing because there's actually books written on it specifically for salespeople. And what I say is if you start to sell with intention and use these techniques, it automatically gives you less busy work, and automatically the time management isn't an issue anymore. It redefines the word help. And it reduces objections and questions or a no buy. Well, we have to talk about it, or we'll see you later. Because if they leave and you haven't really understood what their issues are and what they want to solve, it's not about product. It's not about finishes. It's not about any of that stuff. It's about solving their need. That all includes all the product, obviously. That's what you're selling. It could be services. It could be anything. But it's really the result they want. That's the big takeaway, is it's the result they want. And it grows sales quickly, really quickly, and consistently. So our next session is going to be on changing your focus, and you're going to be surprised. It's actually going to be a lot more of changing your focus from product to product to solution. We're going to talk a lot more about a lot of different things. So I want to encourage you. You're going to get a lot of bonuses along with this. You're going to get open-ended questions, a lot of reports that I have. You'll have a checklist so you can check off all the things that you learned, because I think it's really important to learn and check things off so that you can feel like you've accomplished things, and you will. And this is my email address. Please feel free to email with any questions, any objections, anything you need coaching on. During this 21 days, I'm yours. So email me with anything you need help or support with or don't understand, anything. I am yours. So this has been part one of intentional selling. My name is Deborah Flate. I hope you enjoyed this. I know if you put this into practice, you will get a lot of benefit from this. And I will see you next time when we talk about changing your focus.